Morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Good morning. This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing with Conquering the Markets, the best community there ever was. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. We're going to have an old school, new style, old school Friday session over here. When I say new style, it's the TA that we employ here. You've never seen it anywhere else like it. Here we go. We're going to have fun today. We're going to make sure we cover the markets in their entirety. Yeah, Bitcoin, we have that laser-like focus, and we don't need to focus so much on this session after two powerful sessions in a row this week on Bitcoin. Nevertheless, we'll make sure we dig in and know what's going on into the weekend. Take a look across all the markets, gives ourselves some new perspective, a fresh perspective, getting in and setting up next week. All right, over here, I'm on the 3-day. Why am I on the 3-day? I have no idea. Let's take a look over here at Bitcoin. Is this looking worrisome? Are we seeing, I saw it was beautiful. Someone put this out on a meme, excuse my language, out yesterday on the Twitter. And they were saying that like, this is the volcano. This is the volcano pattern that Bitcoin is going on. You got to laugh. You got to laugh and you got to have fun. But at the same time, you got to work and you got to work hard. Let's take a look and see what we got going on over here. What I'm reminded of over here, by the way, this is a nice 3-day bar being put on Bitcoin right now, right? It's a nice 3-day bar. You can see the resistance clearly over here. If we come back down to this chart over here, you can see the clear resistance we've been waiting and looking at. Let me jump down to the 8-hour, and you can see that with this morning, actually, we're coming into it right now, right? The rejection by the resistance, price peeled off. Did it find any support? I mean, there's a light, whatever. People are asking if I could add some supports down to the downside over here as we look at this chart. I think it was on Wednesday, right? Was it Wednesday or was it yesterday that we looked at where there is some, let's say, support to the downside, right? 27,000, 24,000. We have those areas, right? You can see over here, look, this is the resistance, then flip the support in that area there. That's the last peak down over here. That makes sense. Oh, that makes sense, right? If we take out the low over here, right? Remember, my base case is that the low is in. Ever since this low was put in over here, I've said my option A is that this is the low over here. If we take out that low at that point, we're kind of redirected. We pivot towards option B, or we take a good hard look at option B, already prepared. Option B was prepared over here on May the 20th. And we talked about if we enter into some type of sideways accumulation phase. We would have to take out that low for that to happen. What is the support under this area? I don't need. We all know the low here is the price point that we're looking at. So I don't need to put the support in there. The first thing my eyes did was go resistance, flip to support. It happened to be over here. Okay. Below that over there, though, you can see around 24. Let me put this to green. Let's get color coordinated today. Make sure we get this right. Green is support over here, somewhere around 24,000. But we also saw and looked at a bunch of supply over in that area over there, right? Is there a good chance that if this broke, that we come all the way down? I mean, it is. I think they're around 27,000. There's also some. Let's keep it like this. The reason I don't have support down over here is because that's not my option A. My option A is the lows in. If we come out and take out this low, we're going to make sure that we focused in on the downside and make sure that we're protected and make sure that we have our levels below us. Right now, we're coming into the resistance. This resistance so far for about 1 month, well, 1 month exactly, has provided resistance, right? Price trying to break above it, price having a hard time. It's getting a look at it this morning. Let's see what happens over here. When price breaks above this resistance, what are we expecting? Are we expecting a quick move into 43,000? Listen, I have no idea. It remains the same, and it's very important to say that things are very uncertain for me. Things are very unclear, and I'm giving it time. And everyone knows it's not until we break above the most important trend line in crypto that I'm going to say, okay, the clarity's back. I'm back on time. Would that be, by the way, if price were to do that within, let's say, a week or 10 days or so, right? Getting back towards 48,000. Does that put us 48,000? 48, find it on the chart. You know, does that put us back towards the comfortable zone where I'm going to feel we have a lot more clarity? Yep. But listen, just because that's what we're looking for, that doesn't mean it's going to happen. Things are very unclear. Things are very unclear, and I'm comfortable with them being unclear, and I'm waiting for that clarity. Nevertheless, when I look at this chart over here on the 3-day, it does remind me, as I pointed out to you yesterday, it does remind me of this area over here that we were in, right? And we could see over here that, by the way, did you see the symmetry over here? This big down bar followed by a big up bar. This is on the 3-day time frame. A small consolidation bar, big down bar. You can see it played out over here. This is the big down bar, an up bar, a small consolidation bar, big down bar. You know, I could see symmetry, but this is the 3-day bar, the big one off the low over here that we maybe the low is in. Maybe we're about to head up over here, breaking above this resistance. At least we have the lines to guide us. But just like the 2 days ago or yesterday, when we were into that resistance and we called it out, we said, hey, look, we're just into resistance. Do not buy into resistance. I know right now a lot of people have a lot of FOMO, but you don't buy into resistance, right? Breaking above that resistance brings a lot more clarity. And that's it on Bitcoin. Everyone should have, in this uncertain time, a lot of clarity in that unclarity. It's okay not to be clear. It's okay to wait. It's okay. You know, just because you see a 10% up day, you know, and we're like, oh, you know, the 10% days are back again. That doesn't mean that you got to jump into the water. There's still sharks swimming out there. Just because all of a sudden the sun comes out, it doesn't mean you got to jump right back in. You could wait and pick your point. That's what predators do. And you're a predator. All right, what else are we looking at? Let's look across the markets. Ethereum's still under pressure a little bit. How is it looking? Let me come to the 3-day and just get a bigger perspective over here. All right, I see. You know, obviously everyone's aware at this particular point over the last week, we are starting to see actually Ethereum, Bitcoin making some gains on Ethereum. Right. We also know that at this particular point of cycle, that's not really that unusual. I was actually saying for a while, something's not right. I don't understand what it is. Do I feel a little bit more comfortable? Like perhaps, you know, Ethereum over here, quite bullish. any way you look at it. I expect Ethereum versus the dollar through the rest of the bull market phase over here to continue to make strides. What happens versus Bitcoin? It's still too early. It's still too early. A lot of people at the wrong time perhaps flipping into alts. Do you notice at like the peak of alt season, you see a lot of people like, I'm selling my Bitcoin at the peak of alt season. We are preemptive of a momentum. We're not chasing momentum. Nothing's changed. Right now, what I'm seeing on Ethereum is this, right? I'm not seeing anything. I'm definitely seeing a bunch of lower highs, right? It's a little bit spiky over here. It's not very clear. I just don't see anything. This is the clarity. Get back above this area, which is resistance. Great, nice to see lower lows is perhaps a nice triangle forming, maybe. But right now, there's no clarity, and having no clarity is a good thing because when in the pinned Twitter thread that we have over here, one of the points I make about being a successful trader is that being on the sidelines is a position of power. You don't need to be attacking all the time. Actually, if you're on the sidelines waiting for things to become clear, as Jim Roger puts it, waiting for money to be over in the corner of the room, and when he sees it, then he goes picks it up, that's a position of power. Getting yourself into a trade that you get stuck in and that you get into hope, that's not a position of power. As a trader, that's not what you're looking for. Don't confuse your time preferences when it comes to trading and investing, right? The channel is Conquer Trading and Investing. You have to be able to differentiate the two of them, okay? So Ethereum, it's pretty unclear. That's all I could say. Is Bitcoin looking a lot healthier? Clearly, right? Clearly, but even still, very unclear. Getting above that resistance, yes, that opens up. That's going to feel good. That's if you erase all of this from your mind, and then you have our repair over here, this trend line repair breaking above it, well, that's going to be healthier. All right. As far as the alts, they remain under pressure. Everyone knows that, right? Everyone is aware of the structure of a Bitcoin bull market, the rising tide that lifts all boats. Within it, there's two alt seasons. First, Bitcoin does the work, right? Then approximately 6 months after the halving, alt season begins. That was November into December. We pointed it out before it was happening and then as it was happening. And then into the peak of alt season, you didn't see us like, oh, now's the time to get heavy into alts. We're not even talking about it, right? But we did see some of the macro bows flipping their position about a week before alt season peaked. All right? Listen, just back off, stay away, wait for that clarity. What else? What's going on in the markets over here on the S&P 500? All right. Some nice work. That's all I'm going to say. When I say nice work, right? Over here, the markets are crashing. Everyone's calling for literally everyone was calling for the markets to crash. We put out our trend line. It held as support, retested as support. Once we got above it, we cloned it, put that up here. We held again over here, and now we're making new all-time highs. What's going on in the markets? Why are the markets saying we're not really concerned about inflation? Maybe the Fed's right. Maybe it's transitory, right? Next month, we might see another high print. Lynn Alden says by the summer, we should start seeing more prints in line. Does that mean the inflation went away? Does that mean it went away, or does that mean it's leveling off temporarily? Temporarily. How do you like them apples? Could you smash the like button, by the way, as we get into this session over here? As we get into this session, if you like what's being shared, could you go ahead and hit that like button? Just a friendly reminder over here to support the work we do on this channel. Nasdaq over here, I'm going to start on the 3-day, right? As yields are coming off. When I say as yields are coming off, look at this. You can see the 10-year highest inflation print that we've seen in recent memory, and yields are like, oh, okay, we're not concerned. Maybe they think the top is in for a while. I don't know, But what I'm seeing is this bull flag, right? And we're coming down towards the support. We're coming into it today, next week, into a pivotal area, right? It's the trend line support of the bull flag. It's also some horizontal support over here, right? From where we gapped up, came back and retested it. In this breaking down from over here, that's going to send gold and silver. We'll look at them in a moment. We'll look at the important lines on gold and silver And by the way, why this is support over here, we're going to be looking at the resistance lines on both gold and silver. And we said before, as things got a little unclear ahead of the CPI, probably a good time to be taking profit here, right? And we'll get back in if they break above that resistance. That's the support over here. You should be very clear on what's happening. Let me show you before I go back to the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq is very tightly tied to these yields also right now, right? When you look at gold and silver over here, starting with gold, right? This is that line of resistance. That's equal to that line of support I'm showing you on the 10-year, right? If price gets above this line of resistance, that at that point says, okay, well, we got more room to the upside. That's a good place to pick out a possible swing trade. I also could see over here, this does that look like a bull flag to you? You know, does that look at that? Actually, you could do it like that. You could see the symmetry. If I made those lines clean and clone them, you would see the symmetry in them. I don't need to do that, right? What I'm focused in on is if we get back above that resistance, that opens up further upside. The last time the trade was taken, and it was on silver, I'll show you that in a second, was after we broke out that trend line, profit taken, get out of the trade. Once you break these trend lines over here, at that point, you're showing some form of weakness. Let's take a look at it on silver. All right, here on silver, you can see the massive, this is the trade that I myself was looking at over here, and this is the exit that I took over here, right? And we pointed out how gold was holding up better. And now since actually silver's reacting better, it's the same thing. It's this line up here. Getting above it will open up further upside opportunities. By the way, you know that just because we see a trade, we don't expect that the trade is going to work out. Actually, if your mindset is that every time you enter a trade, you're most focused on where your stop loss is, which you have to be, because you have no idea your risk per trade without knowing where your stop loss is from the beginning. You have no idea how to position size that trade. Every time you set the trade, when you go to enter the trade and you have your stop loss set, if you go in with the expectation that your stop loss is going to be hit, you are actually giving yourself an edge mentally. Very, very important stuff over there. And by the way, expect that 50% of your stop losses are going to get hit from the get-go, right? At that point, that's all you need to be profitable. That's all you need to be profitable. People want to win all the time. You know, I want a 90% win rate, and then that one or two trade that you take that big loss and wipes you out. That's not how you do it, right? This is, by the way, when I'm talking about if we get above this resistance over here, opening up the upside, that means if you get a breakout, retest, and then the resumption on every single market that we look at, that's the deal. Breakout, retest, resumption, except for cryptocurrencies in the Bitcoin bull market phase. All right? Very important distinction over there. Got to remind you all, make sure that those that are just on, Peter, blessed feast day, my brother. Blessed feast day, my brother. All right, so what are we looking at over here? Gold, silver's still in jeopardy. Why do I say it's in jeopardy? You're looking at the 10-year coming towards the bottom of support, right, of this area. Support is in this area over here. You're looking at silver what? Silver broke down from the trend line and has since not been able to get above that broken trend line support, right? Support going all the way back, starting in April, the trend line tested over here back at the end of April, right? And then you had that nice little touch over here at the end of May, and then another touch in June, and then it broke. And since then, it's not gotten above that broken support. It's been acting as resistance. You're into an area of horizontal resistance and our trend line resistance right now. Could this thing roll over? That's the expectation. That's the expectation, is that this resistance holds and this rolls over. Let me clean this up 1 second as well. I'm going to go ahead and just draw this trend line in, you know, and I'm going to clone this trend line from this whatever you want to call it, this trend line that we're focused in on, and I'm just going to bring it back down over here, and I'm going to leave it here. Right? We have two touches over here, this clone trend line. It's important because if we break down over here, right? If we break down outside over here in the days ahead, at that point, this thing should be rolling over. At that point, we're gonna, what's gonna happen is that it's probably held and we're bouncing back up over here. All right. Now the adverse, right, is that this breaks out to the upside. Right? If this breaks out to the upside, well, that definitely opens up a nice, beautiful trade to the upside coming out of this correction, right? how well we line this up. How well, Matt, you got to have patience. For so long, we lined this up over here, and then we attacked when it was time to attack, got out when it was time to, like, things changed. I wanted to hold this trade until we broke the yearly high, and then, and then hopefully unraveled quickly towards the all-time high at $50. Well, when things got a little dicey, you gotta get out. No matter, I don't care what you want. Is that pushing your trade? Well, that's as far as you can push a trade in this case. Then you get out, and then if the waters get back, looking good again, then you get back in. All right. Anyway, that's a good look at what's going on there. Now let me come back to the Nasdaq as you understand what's going on with the 10-year yields. Right. We're seeing those yields come off as the 10-year is coming into that big area of support. Right. You can see the Nasdaq coming into a big area of resistance, the all-time high. Lots of supply up over here. Right. What's it going to do? Right now, as it happened, not on purpose, over the last 4 months, some of the best work we've been able to put out has been out on the Nasdaq. Yesterday a comment on YouTube, how are you conquering NQ? So beautiful work. If you want to go back and watch the live stream from the 17th and 18th of February, I talk about a possible correction coming in the equity markets on the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. At that point, people are like, what are you, crazy? You're going to see an 8 to 10% correction in the equity markets. They're going up forever, Jordan. You're crazy, right? I talked about the reason was because of the rising yields. Sure enough, boom, correction happened. I didn't know it was going to happen. I just said, watch out for it. I do not have a crystal ball. I cannot predict the market, right? All I could do is have these horizontal lines of support and resistance and follow price with the help of trend lines and chart patterns and manage my risk off of it. That's what it's all about, right? So what happened was that we started correcting hard, and then I said, all right, well, listen, we have our line of repair first of all, right? And then when we break above it, I said when we break above it, not if, it's only a question of when we make a new all-time high. And then we had the breakout, the retest, the resumption, the first area of entry. Then we were able to really see this bull flag developing, the final breakout of it, and then sure enough, new all-time high, right? And then what happened? Then we had another correction with developing. Do you remember we talked about this? Is only a couple of weeks ago. We talked about the aggressive entry, right? Into the resistance over there, right? Probably stop loss at break even, because you all know as you get into that first area since entry of resistance, when buying, support when selling, you move your stop loss to break even, no problem. I don't care if you get stopped out 50% of the time. I don't care if a good portion of your trades get stopped out at break even. If you're not mentally tough, you're not going to make it. If you feel like you need to be proven correct all the time and you need to have a high win percentage, you're not going to make it. There's no question about it. That's not how it works. Until we got out over here and we put up the line over there, breakout, retest, resumption, right? And then you all know we've been covering into the resistance over there. We broke down, tested the support, and now back up over here. What happens next? You're into resistance. You're into resistance right now. Why is the 10-year affect the Nasdaq so much? Because their margins are so tight. That's why tech is so sensitive to what happens on yields, right? If we see all of a sudden the 10-year drop from over here, drop down over here, you're going to see the Nasdaq explode to the upside and tech leading again. That's what's going to happen. Tech will be leading again. You're into support on the 10-year, and you're into resistance over here on the Nasdaq. Get above it, then you could wait. And it probably won't be clean like that. Boom, boom. You probably have some consolidation, but we'll be watching, and as long as that area holds over here, we'll wait and we'll line it up and we'll look for the attack. But we don't chase momentum. Buying up here, this is a take profit area, right? We looked at this first area, that never worked out. Stop out, break even. Next area over here, breakout, retest, resumption. This is where we're buying, right? Over here, you're taking profit now. We are preemptive of momentum. We don't chase momentum. All right, what else is going on? The dollar. The dollar's a little bit bid today. Let me clean up my chart. So yeah, that's fine. The dollar's bid today. Look at this is the 8-hour chart. Let's look at a daily. You know, nice, beautiful day. Taking out the whipsaw high of yesterday, right? Taking it out. All right. This is what I see over here on the dollar. I see that beautiful trend line over there. It's very clear, right? That's your guide over there. Are we expecting? What are we expecting? Let's look at this from the 3-day first of all. All right. Look, the dollar since the 1st of January for the last 6 months has really gone nowhere. It continues to go nowhere over here. Has the dollar put in a bottom over here, right? You can see it testing this area of support, testing again. It's holding, it's resuming off. That's way too soon. I like this trend line better. Let me go ahead and clean this up. Trying to just see, you know what? This is what it is. It's just taking a look at a chart and then seeing if something is clear to you. If it's clear to you, then you could stalk it and you could look to attack. If you haven't smashed the like button yet, please go ahead and take a minute, smash the like button, right? Now, if it's not clear to you, or if you find yourself trying to force something, that should be like a clear sign that, you know what, it's time for me to stand aside because I have like a gazillion other things I could look at, and there's always opportunity in the markets. Very important. You could tell by the tone of my voice as I'm talking about an instrument. If like the cadence is fast and it's even pace and it's good, then that's something there. And when I start like trying to, you know, find it and make it work, stay away. Stay away. It's very important over there. When I say this is an old school session, we're looking at the markets, we're looking at all the markets, we're looking at the technicals and the price. When I say new style, you know, self-taught, you know, I happen to think that my form of TA just happens to be unique. You know, that's the title of the video. I want to make sure you're all in line with it. There's that trend line over there. It's an important trend line over there. If we break down out of it to the downside, we should be coming in quickly or to test that support over there at 89.43. We have the G7 meeting. People are like, how come no one's talking about the G7? They're going to destroy Bitcoin. I think the G7's a joke about now, don't you think? You know, probably the G20 is a lot more important. You know, you can't take out Brazil. You can't take out India. You got to, you know, come on. G7, you got, yeah, anyway. I think that's a joke. That's why they're looking for Satoshi. They're like, if we could just bring Satoshi in and talk to him, we could put pressure on him, you know. Anyway, I love over the last couple of days, let's take a second here before we get back into it. I love over the last few days seeing heads of states, right, jumping on Twitter Spaces to talk with Bitcoiners, right? Who are they? They're talking with the Bitcoiners, right? And that's who they want to talk with. Yesterday there was a Twitter Space where the Lord Prime Minister of Tonga was in a space. We had the President of El Salvador days ago and his campaign manager. And then you're looking at like Michael Saylor when he wanted to learn about Bitcoin. Who did he turn to? He turned to the Bitcoiners and Lynn Alden, right? He put her name up with those other giants before her. And then I saw yesterday, do you ever see Impact Theory? Tom Bly, whatever. Tom from Impact Theory, great channel, lots of useful discussions. I used to watch it, a year and a half ago, a lot more. And I saw Michael Saylor was on him. And, you know, Tom, by the way, is a good guy. He's always looking to learn. He's got an amazing growth mindset. He's really always looking to better himself and to learn. And, you know, the guy's got to hustle. He works so hard. He's got a really good work ethic. And, you know, from you know, whatever. He has done well financially in his life, you know, becoming a billionaire. And, you know, the reason he had Michael Saylor on, he's like, listen, you got me to understand the bullish case for Bitcoin, and I put a significant amount of money of my net worth into Bitcoin once I understood it because it's so clear. And now I need everyone else around me to understand it because he comes from a different world, right? And that we live in our world, which is obviously much different than normal people. He's more of in that normal people world out in LA, right? And he's like, listen, I have to get everyone I know. And he's got a massive following on YouTube to understand Bitcoin. Michael, could you explain it to us? You know, anyway, dollar, DXY. What else are we looking at? Are we seeing a possible, right? Are we seeing a possible bear flag forming? Well, sure, it's possible, right? It's pretty clear, actually, when I look at that last bit of area where we bottomed out, bounced up, and then over here it was resistance, and then now it's resistance again. Yeah, that makes sense. Look at that area of horizontal resistance above it. The dollar might be up today. It's got a lot of work to do before you could say that the dollar out here is getting bullish. And it really, for me, is going to be until we get above this trend line over here. This area of big, strong resistance we have over there. Yeah, we peaked above it. You remember I flipped long. I had to follow the price. And then you remember right over here, I came back and flipped back short once we got above the trend line, right? And that's it. You know, we've been sideways. It gets tricky, but soon enough, the dollar is going to break out. Which way it breaks, I don't know. It's going to break to the upside or the downside after this long consolidation period. It's got to prove itself to the upside. You know, getting back above here, we'll be looking at possibly a possible, trend change occurring in the dollar. Right now, though, this is just simply like, is this going to finally break? It's being tested. It's being tested. We will wait and watch. I think this little channel that we drew in is the best indicator that we can have right now. All right, what else? Let's take a look at what's going on, starting with the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, right? So, like, just clearly that trend line we have over here is still holding pretty solidly. You know, the S&P 500 right over here, high, big correlation between the two, and that's it. There's nothing else to say, and more appropriately, this thing just keeps going sideways. But not only that, you can see the bigger waves, and now we're coming down to a peak, right? You can see price hasn't gone anywhere. It hasn't gone anywhere. We're getting ready for what appears to be a big move. Okay? I don't see it. The money is not sitting over there in the corner. I have to force it right now to make it happen. And by the way, I stay away from sideways markets. I avoid them like the plague. There's no edge over here. All right. What about the Australian dollar, US dollar? Let me take a look. Let's take a look together. Yeah, wow. That looks, Jordan, that looks really sideways. That looks like a death trap. Yeah, it certainly does. You know? What about to the downside? We saw, look at that fake out to the downside, a little bit of dollar strength. You see the dollar strong today in its channel coming into this area of support over here. There's no edge, right? To the upside, to the downside, there's no edge. And as the dollar has been consolidating all year, so is the Australian dollar, US dollar. Just stay away. Just stay away. You know, get back to it when it's time to get back to it. All right. Well, what about like the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen? Look, you can see that this trend line over. Let me clean this up. Sometimes I heard, who was it? Cam talking about, sometimes just wiping off all the lines off your chart and starting from scratch with a fresh perspective. It's a good thing over there. It's a good thing to do over here. Look, over here, I could see that same trend line we got on the S&P 500, right? It's holding over here. We are sideways. Breaking down over here, no, that's forcing it. I don't see anything, right? I'm not going to try to force something. Let me look at a pair like the Euro Australian dollar. Let's look at like just a cross pair just to see for fun. We're experimenting here. We're just having fun, taking a look at charts, seeing what's going on. Maybe even do it from a 3-day perspective, Does anyone have an edge looking at this? I don't at all, actually. Not even close. I wonder if I should put, just clone that line over there and put this down as support in this area, right? That's clearly resistance into support, area of support. That belongs there. It's important. But aside from that, I don't see anything going on. That's just sideways price action. Actually, I want to avoid that like the plague. All right. Well, what about, it's been a long time since I looked at the euro British pound. Again, it's, this is where we picked it up, right? And then we looked at, the exit on the trend line break over here. Someone was who we were looking at it for was still holding it. We talked about where you're dead wrong, of getting above that last bit of swing high over here. But price is just going nowhere. Why is price going nowhere across the board? I don't know. I'm just making observations. Well, Jordan, in 2020, specifically in February, March, April, we had some enormous moves. Enormous moves. What happens after huge expansion, where you go to consolidation and contraction? Oh, so we went through an enormous expansion, throughout the currency markets, and now they're just kind of consolidating. Yep. What comes next? An expansion. You know, well, do I have any edge in preemptive which way that way might be? Not at the moment. Not yet. Not yet. Euro US dollar. I'm trying to get a read on it, right? I'm trying to get a read on it. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to come down to the daily. All right. Does anyone have a read on it? The only observation I can make is so far we're putting in lower high over here. That's the only observation I got over here. Does it perhaps make sense then to put a trend line like this? That's a good one. I like that. All right. That's to the upside, right? Below that, danger, danger, danger. No reason to take a trade. What about to the downside where we got some nice support? I'm trying to see if I see an area. What about this? Resistance here, support there. Yeah. But do I feel like I'm forcing it? I personally do. What happens if you clone this trend line over here, right, and bring it down? Is the market showing? Look at that. Support, broke down over here, but then back above support. Yeah, that's a good line. I think if I came back into this line over here and we held, and then you could see my mouse to the left, you could see that this is a nice bit of horizontal support as well. Actually, look at that touch right there. And then that touch right there. So I think in that area, if price came down to that area, that might be a place to look for support to hold and a resumption off of it for a long entry. Price is in an uptrend. All right. I like that. What about to the upside over here, right? Breaking above that, this trend line over here, that could bring up possible upside as well. Right now, just consolidating in no man's land. That's a good plan. I like that. Let's leave that here. All right. Let me just some just like come back to it, days from now, a week from now, and I'll know exactly where we left off. What else? The pound Japanese yen. Oof, this looks beautiful. Why does that look beautiful? First of all, if you were here in January, right? If you were here in January and I talked about, the potential, the target for pound Japanese yen being right here on that yellow trend line, which is the reason why it's yellow. It hasn't moved since. Go ahead and smash that like button if you were here and you remember, right? But that's cool is that like we touched it. Oh, TA, new style, beautiful art, right? But what happens now? Well, look, that was a place, you're waiting now. You break above, and we got more opportunity on the upside. That's it. Look at that big trend line over here. That's why the trend line was there, by the way. I just connected the dots, right? Getting above this, we like those. Let's see what happens, right? But right now, obviously on the sidelines, that was a place that we always said if you were in that trade, you're taking profit into the area. I would have even took profit down over here lower. You don't gotta like, if you don't gotta get greedy trying to get the pip. Anyway, there's nothing going on right now. But breaking above this for sure, that opens up new opportunity. All right. Let me go ahead and clear this line over here just to clean up the chart a little. Right. What about support onto that? There's nothing going on. There's nothing else to say. Right. There's nothing else to say. Right. When there's nothing else to say, I got something else to say. Well, what happens if we break this support over here? Right. Is there a lot of downside? That's a big move over here. 350 pips, 450 pips in this area. That's pretty significant. Is that something to think about? Maybe in the future, not today. Pound US dollar, let me take a look at her. Ooh, holding this channel hard, testing it right now, right? The dollar trying to, is putting in a nice day. We don't want to say any more than that. The dollar's having a nice day. It's got overhead resistance ahead. How significant this trend line, this resistance I have over here, I have no idea. Well, yeah, it's a good one. It belongs there at least. I'm just trying to take a look, right? Well, actually, it belongs there. Support, resistance in this area again. I want it there. right? But with that, anyway, I'm just trying to figure it out. Would you want to short anyway the pound over here? I got a double top, right? But listen, this has been one of the strongest currency pairs all year long. I can't imagine that even just because this trend line broke over here, that you would be looking to pick up a short on this pair. That doesn't seem right to me. I would not do that whatsoever. Well, what about if I zoom out a little bit and I'm looking at that? Do you see that big resistance and then this area of resistance? Like that double top we just put in that I was looking at, right? Let me go ahead and clear this up a little bit. That double top that I was just pointing out, it's not just a double top. If you look back over here, it was resistance in that area as well. Right here, it was resistance and resistance. Does that warrant a nice line over here of trend line resistance that if we get above it, right? Let me just, resistance, look at the wicks, but this is where the candles close, resistance, getting above that. Well, that's a good place for the upside potential here on the pound US dollar. And I like continuing to attack the dollar with the pound when the dollar is weakening. So I'll just leave that there. I'm going to make it red, knowing that, pointing out its resistance and just giving us that awareness. Anything else? All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some, let me look at the dollar Mexican peso. I mean, it's interesting in this aspect. You ready? That we have this huge sideways price action. This huge sideways price action, right? And then over here, this area of support is breaking down, and we're just consolidating under it. But it's still sideways. It's still sideways. There's nothing going on. And that's what the FX markets are doing right now. They're really just going sideways. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play some honeymoon vocals up in here. And then I'm going to go ahead and, see what's going on as far as any comments to feed off of and see how we take it back next. So, a couple of things over here. Well, I mean, people are asking about all sorts of different chart patterns on Bitcoin. And listen, Bitcoin is a lot of thing to a lot of people. And there's no question that you might see a lot of different things over here. I use my style, the new style, the thing that I find to be the most effective in the markets. I hope in viewing it, it helps clarify things for you, right? It's that taking something so complex as the markets are, right? We have you could use Fibonacci levels, you could use moving averages, lagging, you could use a million different oscillators, you can make a million different variables and a million different decisions, right? I find that taking something so complex and taking it down to its simplest form gives you the greatest edge and is the most effective, right? Are people looking at I thought someone said a bear flag. That's not a bear flag only because a bear flag would be rising upwards. That's a bear flag. I mean so it's just not a bear flag if you're looking at that. Someone else said a head and shoulders. Are you looking at like a head and shoulders like this maybe? Listen, there's no question if we break below that last bit of how do you say that last wick down over there that we should probably we would see a quick capitulation, but we're not talking about that right now. We've already made the plan. We put the plan in place, what option B would look like. It's not my option, and I gave it the odds. I gave it right away were something like, I think Ted gave them lower odds than me. Ted put it like at 5%. I put it like at 10%, 90%. I was 90% sure the low is in over here. I don't know for sure, but that's pretty aggressive odds over there. We'll see. Right, I'm looking at right now as we're testing this resistance. Yeah, the first touch, I was very clear. Watch out, we're into resistance. Right now, another look at it, yeah, it'll be, I hope we break it. I don't know that we will. It's resistance. I hope that we break through. And if we break through, we're looking a lot better than we are right now. That doesn't mean that it's clear, right? It doesn't mean that, it's clear and you should jump back in. Prince, do you trade Bitcoin? Yeah, completely, right? And by the way, Prince, just to give you a bit of perspective, and it's really important over here, like I didn't begin trading Bitcoin to over here in this area over here, right? And then it was trading Bitcoin all the way up until that famous day, I'm sorry, I lost this over here, into May 14th, Friday, May 14th, when I was like, this is not clear anymore. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, this was traded like great time to trade Bitcoin. I wasn't trading Bitcoin before here. I was accumulating Bitcoin. I was accumulating Bitcoin into the halving event, right? Different strategy. And then I was looking over here to I took this as an opportunity because this was an anomaly. This was the dollar liquidity crisis. And this is all on video. This was positioning back in, adding to positions over here, taking it as opportunity. This was trading. This is where the trading stopped. And then over here, I took it as an opportunity again, opportunity, and I accumulated spot Bitcoin. I will not be trading again, Prince. Do you trade Bitcoin? You have no idea. I will not be trading again until we break this line over here, because you have no edge over here. You have zero edge over here, and you're a floundering if you're trading over here, and you don't know what's going on. Right? But over here, once we break this trend line over here, the most important trend line in crypto, and the momentum's back, swimming with the current. You ever see Nemo? I got 6 kids. You ever see Nemo when the turtles are in the current and they're like, whoa, dude, what's going on? You want to be with the current and momentum with you as you're trading. And that's that. So what else? Craig, a training session on Saturday would be fun. I think so. I'm going to, I think I'm planning on that. I'm gonna make an airport run right now. Take the grandparents to the airport. When I come back, try to set something up over here for a Conquering the Markets training session tomorrow. And depending on, yeah, that looks good. All right. So I'll talk with you all in Discord. We'll organize. We'll get that going. Have a beautiful weekend, everyone. Thanks for spending that time. We got a ton of likes over here. 640 likes with 1,000 viewers. That's totally awesome. You guys are great. It is in here, quality over quantity all day long, right? Today was a fun session, an important session. Try to do these once a week, even if there's only 1,000 people here. We try to do this once a week. Very important over here. All right, everyone. Have a beautiful weekend. Thanks for spending your time with me. Thank you for all the support. Thank you to all the moderators. I would love a training session with Heath. That would be fire. I would love that so much. And what else? Slight edge. I got more than a slight edge. But listen, you gotta, when things are unclear, and everyone knows, because like I spent the whole session talking about how we're gonna have clarity right now in having no clarity, and then Ian ends the session being like, "There's clarity in that, right?" You have to be comfortable with not being clear. It was the first time since we've been online together for a year and a half that I was like, I don't know what's going on, and I'm getting neutral because of it, right? And then since then, it's not a lot clearer at all, at all. Things are still unclear. I didn't expect that to happen. I was just unclear. I didn't expect that type of massive drawdown, 53%. I wasn't looking for it. Wasn't aware. Yeah, I was aware of a possible shakeout coming, but I thought this was the shakeout. I thought that was the shakeout. I thought this was the V recovery, right? And it looks like a V to me, and I think it would have been a V if it weren't for Elon. I genuinely think if Elon did not tweet right here, this had a chance of being a V recovery. Well, that's not what happened. Elon tweeted. And I was like, whoa, that's not a V anymore. I was wrong. You got to admit when you're wrong. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. You're a trader. You don't know that you're going to be wrong. You could be wrong half the time and still be successful. I'm wrong. I don't know what's going on. I got to get a new, and now it's still unclear. If we break above this resistance, well, it's a little bit clearer. It's a little bit like probably not taking out that low now, right? Probably, unless you lose it. That's why it's just all they are is places to set risk off of, right? So, and then getting above this one. All right. Now the clarity's back. Now the clarity's back. And that's all it is. All right. Let's play some Honeymoon's vocals one more time here as we say goodbye. Listen, good session, everyone. Thank you for everything. Head snack. Yeah, let's go some head snack into the weekend. I got to speak with Head Snack last night. Let's go with some Head Snack over here.
Analyzing the charts, hitting projected targets within the margin. Find the flow, sip the matcha, and wait for the waves to come in with lobsters. The kind-hearted Jordan Fosters, working smarter, not harder to move the markers. On his way to conquer, trading and investing, drinking the coffee while reflecting on the blessing. The markets are not crashing, the prices might be slashing just to pretend they're in fashion. Hit the like button, comments, and smash it. Boom, boom, Jordan in the room. Grab the bull by the horns and to the moon. Flow from the plateau, make the play. Boom, boom, it's a taco day.
It's a taco day. It's a taco day.
Yeah. So I hear that all the time, though. Like something's broken if Elon's tweet has so much effect on Bitcoin. Listen, the second richest man in the world, who's got how many Twitter followers? He's got a bigger platform than like all of traditional media, whether it's like CNN, Fox News, or like whatever. I don't even know what the news stations are. You think that's something's broken if he could affect a market that was at the time he did it less than $1 trillion? I don't think so. I think the only thing that's broken is the SEC allowing that type of manipulation to take place. I think that's the only thing that's broken, but the market's not broken. It's a small market, I mean, yeah, it's the best performing asset in the past decade, in the past, and it's actually assets never perform so well. from 0 to a trillion, but nothing's broken, right? You gotta be able, when you hear like all these like opinions put out there, just like think through them instead of just like getting caught up in whatever the narrative being put out there is. That's all. All right. Wouldn't that be amazing? Bitcoiners are amazing. Yeah, that's for sure. All right, everyone. Boom, boom. Have a beautiful day. I didn't hear any updates. Did anyone hear any updates on what happened with the IMF sending their hitman over to El Salvador yesterday? Has El Presidente, commented on that? That's something that I would like to see. That's important. We'll find out over there what that was. Yeah. So listen, later this afternoon, early afternoon, we'll check in. I'll send that an email about the upcoming training session, and we'll take it from there. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Thank you so much for making mine as such, and I'll talk to you soon. That's awesome. I was just reading this beautiful, incredible message from Heath. So amazing, so beautiful. Because I'm gonna reach out to him, see if he wants to get together for the training session tomorrow. And thank you for all of your prayers during this time. I'm so sure that the only reason everything went so smoothly was because of all of you and your prayers. Thank you for that. I'm so grateful. We are so grateful, both me and my wife. Thank you for your generosity for that. If anyone saw it or missed it, I didn't get a chance to teach. Man, if you're here right now, I didn't get a chance to talk about this. So I'll do it on Monday. I'll do it on Monday because this was a bit of a different type session. But we'll look at this on Monday together. If anyone saw this over here, this is pretty awesome. Said by Rich, shared it in CTM yesterday. Look, they put the CTM logo on their race car, and they won. Congratulations to the team. But what's awesome is Rich sharing this with me. We race again a month. We'll try to win again. Your guidance funded this, Jordan. And just wait until you see what we're doing to help kids coming out of the social care system when they're 16 years old. We're going to use the race team to train them in skills which can help them find jobs and build a career. You don't understand what that means to me. This is conquering the markets to the core over here. This is me living my dreams over here. I was one of those kids at 16 years old who fell into the social care system. I know what it's like. I know what it's like when people like Rich are there to help them and to save their lives. You have no idea what this means to me. The race car is beautiful. The race car is awesome. And that's a beautiful looking car you got over here. I mean, better that the team is able to go ahead and put together a win. But this over here, this is conquering the markets all day long. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. You have no idea what that means to me. It's everything. All right, everyone. Have a good weekend. I hope to see you tomorrow. And, I'll talk to you soon.